A bank employee was shocked at how many customers with plenty of money still borrowed massive amounts of money. In this episode, I'm going to answer the question, why do people that have enough money to pay cash for things still finance their real estate or their house? Get ready, you're going to be blown away. So my name's Doug Andrew. I've been a financial strategist and retirement planning specialist now for nearly 5 decades. I've been very honored in my nearly 5 decades helping people optimize assets and minimize taxes to help people understand how money works, how to optimize assets, minimize taxes, and empower what I call their authentic wealth. In doing so, I'm shocked how many people do not understand how money works. What makes the world go round? So this bank employee actually left the bank and came and worked for my firm, and she had been promoted to a loan officer. And she said, golly, Doug, I started reading your books, and all of a sudden I understood why so many high net worth customers came to the bank to borrow money, even for their house. And they had plenty of money. They could have paid cash. She said, I never figured out why they did that. And then I began to realize that if they did not borrow the money, OPM, other people's money, it would actually cost them money. Now, this is what I refer to as opportunity cost, because if you pay cash for, let's say, a piece of real estate, you are giving up the opportunity to earn a rate of return on that money that you pay for the real estate, because the real estate is going to go up in value, appreciate, or down in value, regardless of how much money you put into it in a down payment. So savvy people understand how money works, okay? Banks and credit unions, they understand that they have to pay interest in order to make more interest. They would wither up and die if they didn't pay interest. So they pay us, okay, to put money into their institutions. They borrow our money and they pay us 1, 2, or 3% interest. And they turn around and loan it back out again at 5, 6, 7, 8% interest. Okay, this is how money works. And so savvy, smart, high net worth individuals realize this. And so when they go to acquire a piece of real estate or property, they usually walk into the bank and say, hey, I want to borrow $1 million or $5 or $10 million. And of course, the bank looks at their situation and go, oh yeah, loan approved. Why? Because they have the money. So if they have the money, why wouldn't they pay cash for the property? Because if they take their money and pay cash for the property, then that is giving up the opportunity to earn a rate of return greater than the cost of the funds. They realize they can borrow money from a bank if they have good credit, let's say at 6% interest, but it's tax deductible. Most of these high net worth individuals are at least in a 33% tax bracket or higher. Let's just use 33%. So if they're borrowing $1 million at 6% interest, tax deductible, they get to write off that $60,000 a year in interest. And so that offsets the income. And so the net cost of borrowing, because they get a tax refund, they pay less in tax. So the net cost of borrowing at 6% is really 4% in a 33% bracket. They actually save $20,000 that they get back in the form of a tax refund. Does that make sense? So if they borrow at 6, it's a net cost of 4. If their $1 million that they have is sitting somewhere earning 8% tax-free, how much more is 8% than 4%? Don't say 4%. It's twice as much. It's double. It's 100% more. So they're making on $1 million, $80,000. If they borrow money at a net cost of 4, that costs them $40,000 while they're still earning $80,000. They can take half of the $80,000 that they're earning and service the debt on the loan and end up still with $40,000 of money they made. Does that make sense? So a lot of people sometimes don't understand this. And this bank employee, she was like, until I read your book, Doug, I didn't understand why these high net worth individuals walked into the bank and they would show me their balance sheet, their financial statements, and they would have millions of dollars. And yet they were going to borrow, $1 million or $5 million or $10 million. And I couldn't figure out why until I read your book. It's because it would actually cost them money. If they used their money, they would be giving up earning 8 to 10% tax favored rates of return in order to pay cash just to save paying 4%. That doesn't make sense. So this is why savvy real estate investors, even high net worth individuals, will oftentimes have their homes mortgaged to the hilt. Now, they could pay off their home anytime they want with an electronic funds transfer or a phone call because they simply could transfer the money in their investments and pay off the mortgage on their house. So they are out of debt because they define out of debt as having enough money that's liquid and safe over in this pocket, so to speak, that anytime they could take the money out of this pocket, their assets, and pay off the liabilities in this pocket. But if they physically do that, then they're cutting their assets in half because they have this asset and they have the property. Even if the property is mortgaged, it's costing them 4% and they continue to make double or triple that by keeping their money over here instead of in the property. So don't be shocked if you meet a high net worth individual that has plenty of money, if they have their house mortgaged to the hilt, because even though they have the money, they consider themselves out of debt on their balance sheet, even though they physically have liabilities, but those liabilities are covered with assets that are liquid and safe, earning double to triple the cost of the liability. Does that make sense? So this is why a lot of people, even though they have enough money, they use OPM. They learn how to become their own banker, so to speak. And I've been teaching these concepts since the mid-1970s. If you want to learn more about how money works and how I actually keep my money liquid and safe in what I call a laser fund, I would recommend that you claim a free copy of my most recent best-selling book. It retails on Amazon for $20. I will gift you a copy of this book. It's actually 2 books in one. This side is about 200 pages, 14 chapters with all the charts and graphs of how to diversify and create the foundation for tax-free accumulation and tax-free income. Okay, this is where I put my serious cash. If you're more of a right brain learner, you can flip the book over to this one. This is about 100 pages, 12 chapters with 62 chicken soup for the financial soul stories on how this works. And this concept of becoming your own banker that I've taught for decades is explained in the book. You will connect the dots. You simply go to laserfund, Laser fund.com. You contribute a nominal amount towards the shipping and handling. I'll cover the rest of that cost. I will pay for the book, and I will fire out a hard copy to you. While you're in there, check out if you would like to listen and learn or watch and learn. There's also educational webinars that we teach on a regular basis. You can even talk to a professional to help you understand how to incorporate these strategies in your particular set of circumstances, and there's no obligation or cost for doing so. So this is about you and your brighter future. I want you to learn how money works. It starts out by understanding how to diversify and create the foundation for a tax-free retirement, especially so you will not outlive your money and you will be able to make rates of return double, triple the net cost of the funds by becoming your own banker.